We are activating your unique self-discovery one show at a time. The Orchard of Wisdom Self-Discovery podcasts are at your fingertips, just waiting to inspire and invite you in discovering just how awesome you really are and how to navigate through life in joy, enrichment, personal abundance, in mind, body, spirit, heart, and soul. All the people we bring you are here to serve you on your journey of life. Do enjoy our next show. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Your Health is Your Choice, right here at selfdiscoverymedia.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy, and we have Dr. Ruchi Mishra Sharma. I hope I've pronounced that right.
You
And we're going
have.
to, great, wonderful, wonderful. I always want to do justice to the names. She says our subconsciousness governs 90%, 95% of our daily lives. So that is an awful lot. What is it actually saying, and is it actually getting in the way of us? She says, think of a rapid transformational therapy as a shovel to dust off all the true diamond that you really are, which is lying beneath heaps and piles of limiting beliefs, shoulds and should nots, not good enoughs, overthinking, self-doubt, procrastination, and underplaying yourself. What is it that leads to overthinking, procrastination, self-doubt, followed by strategies to combat it? She says that you were born to let your inner light shine bright. Don't let it dim and make others around you feel but make others around you feel comfortable. Our subconscious gathers 95% of our daily lives, and progression is the outward result of fear of failure and fear of judgment. And our mind learns to be repetitive. Our mind cannot hold conflicting beliefs. The mind responds to pictures and words you install, and the quantity of our inner dialogues determines the quality of our life. We know all of this, don't we? But how much do we actually pay attention to actually doing something about it? She's a trained medical doctor specializing further becoming an eye specialist. She's been working with the National Health Services in the UK since 2013, but she was burnt out working full time, becoming a new mum. COVID lockdowns came in and all together in 21, and she ended up in a really dark place. She had to get herself out of there. This gave her time for introspection, going deeper to look at what really life is and what she was really truly called for. And her desperate search led her to Marisha Peer Veer Mind Valley Quest, an online learning platform. And rapid transformational therapy transformed her life, and she listened to her inner calling to train rapid transformational therapy. So now we're going to discover what that therapy is. And you know, we're all pretty well governed by the exterior of our life, or the interior that is well, that is based on old patterning and old programming, even ancestral programming or past life programming, very often programming that's got nothing to do with us whatsoever, that's just been imposed upon us. And we just don't realize that we're operating on that old belief until something happens, what makes us really look at it and see it for what it is. Welcome to the show, love.
Lovely. Thank you for the warm introduction. And I'm so happy to be here.
I love it when people take redirects, you know, because obviously you were good at what you were doing and everything was going well. And then good old COVID came along, which redirected a lot of people and a lot of people to really where they should be. And, you know, you talked about the shoulds and shoulds nots, and we're very governed by the exterior shoulds and should nots, but we don't listen to the interior ones. And the interior ones is you are that beautiful diamond. Polish yourself off and shine bright, right? But I think we've been conditioned that everything is external or not internal.
That's true. I mean, I always say, when I look at my toddler, just a few weeks back, he's trying to balance two watermelons. Okay. Now he's really tiny. Now he doesn't think, I'm too tiny to hold this. I think that's the perfect example that there's no limiting belief here. Oh, maybe this is too hard. I can't do it.
Mm.
Right. So, I mean, it's like your belief system is your limit. Like, we always say, sky's the limit. No, your belief system is.
Mm.
You tell your mindset what you can or you can't do. And again, as you rightly mentioned, it was like 95% of your life is governed by your subconscious. Now, some people are like, really, how is that even possible? I make conscious decisions. I'm like, yeah, you think so. But let's think of it like, say, two people are looking at the exact same situation. Okay, they're in the exact same situation. Now the thing is, how are they going to interpret what they're going to make a belief about it is completely different. How do you
Hmm.
justify that? Now that's where the inner programming comes in, right? And it's like completely formed by the time of, say, you're 6, 7 years old, and that's it. The glasses are on, and that's how you judge. So generally in the sessions, what comes about is like, I'm dealing with, I don't know, 40, 50, 60, somebody, and they're like, oh, so and so said so and so, and this is the belief I formed when I was 5 years old. And you're like, how can that, like, I cannot be that person. I'm not 5 year old. And
Mm.
that's the clicking moment.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But we're not aware. We're not realizing, I mean, this show could have also gone over our mental health awareness, but it's under your health is your choice, is that our mental health is our choice. And if we're going to be on that old programming, and we know that we're in a loop, we know, like, why am I thinking this way? Why do I feel so less of myself? Or why can't I find happiness? Or why is life so miserable? And then again, it is because of that old programming, and also your perspective of how you look at life. And we've been taught to look at
Totally.
life from this aspect to that aspect, and you've got to be this, and if you're not this by this age, then you're a failure, all of that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we are literally all born miracles. When I say that,
Mm,
they're like, is that a bit too cheesy? No, it's not, because we all have this, different talents. And everybody is, I think everybody is a born genius, born miracle. It's like when you start compartmentalizing people, as you rightly said, by this point, you get qualified, then you get married, then you have a child, then you do this, and then you do that. It's like, no, you can't compartmentalize people or their talents or who
mm,
we are, because we are just born here to, like, let that inner light shine bright. Now, I love that statement because I just feel everybody's come here for a purpose.
hmm.
You believe in a higher power or not, whatever you name it. But it's like, if you were just to think we are just this, it
Yeah.
limits you in so many ways. That's not all of you, right? So if
Mm.
if you can just, now the thing is, okay, but where did these coverings come from? Well, people who had the best of intentions, which could be parents, teachers, carers. I mean, we have so many people. So think of it like, there's this child, who's shining bright. And then you kept collecting luggage from one person, then another person, and then another person. And then finally you're beneath this luggage. And now that cage, you're just so used to it. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, that's just my normal life.
Yeah.
It's like when you start when you want to grow, you start dashing against the wall of that cage, and then people are like, oh, I feel stuck. Yeah, because that's the cage you have built for
Yes.
yourself. Now you're
Yes.
wanting to grow, and well, that's where we are.
Mm. You know that the when you look at a child, how old is your child?
He is almost gonna be 2 in a couple of months.
Right. Well, I have
3.
a 22 and a half month old
Oh,
grandson. And
wow.
just, the beauty and the luxury of being a grandma is that, I'm not mum, so I'm not on the mum zone, I'm on the grandma zone, which means I can
You
devour.
have the good parts.
Mm. But just taking the time to watch him at play in his own discovery. And we have our own little language. We talk a lot of gobbledygook. And it's just kind of little sounds and things that we do and faces that we do, and it's the little exploration. And if we looked at our beautiful children and the essence of who they are, the discovery they're making about themselves, and set them free to be, we wouldn't have so many adults feeling so caged in because they live by somebody else's
Yes.
repression and
Yes.
expectation that dampened the beautiful spirit and essence of who they were.
Totally. Totally. I mean, it's like everybody is feeling, I don't know, whatever blocks you're feeling is generally because that inner child is feeling caged. It's
Hmm.
still there,
Hmm.
that bright child who, I mean, everybody has a memory of some age in their head where everything was possible, the word
Mm,
impossible didn't exist.
right.
Before you're like, oh, maybe I can't do this, maybe I can't do that. So that's the thing. So if I was to summarize what is rapid transformational therapy, you are just giving a bit of a break to the conscious mind where, it's more relaxed. You get to the subconscious mind, and that's where, everything that is keeping you back from what you want to achieve, which could be lack of self-confidence, self-esteem, weight issues, fears, phobias. I mean, the outer presentation could be anything, but that's like, this is you. This is your best self, which is, supposed to be out there, shine bright. That's what you came here for. But then there are these or these layers in between. So what we want to do is get rid of those so that it's you that shines bright and,
Yes.
get rid of everything in the way. Yeah.
I mean, we talk a great deal on our shows about the inner child. And the reason why we talk about that is because our children are that beautiful, bright discovery light, and then we have them conform in religion, conform in school, know your place, fit into this box. Who do you think you
Okay.
are? Suppress, suppress, suppress. And then that inner child that's wanting to explore and to grow and to discover is still in there, desperately wanting to be let out. And then we wonder why we're dysfunctional and unhappy adults because we've forgotten the art of play, we've forgotten the art of discovery, we've forgotten what life is all about, which is a beautiful spiritual being having a wonderful human existence. And we're not having that
Totally.
human existence that we're meant to have because we've dictated what it should be rather than allowing it what it's meant to be.
Totally. I mean, just imagine. I think all of us have been there, and it's not because of any ill intention, but it's just how the conditioning, parenting, everything is. So the child is in a constant war of authenticity and approval. Okay. So I
Yes.
need to be accepted by my parents. So I need their approval. But at the same time, so at some point, I have to let my authentic self kind of go slightly down so that the acceptance goes up. And
Mm.
and and as a child, it's really important because the validation from your parents or whoever you look up to is so important. But now just imagine that that same mindset is governing the rest of your life. So
Yeah.
me, as a 38-year-old thinking, I want to do this, but what is it that's coming in the way of it? I want to
Mm.
like so yeah, that's what people are like, okay, what is it? What is it? And sometimes the presenting problem could be anything. Anxiety, depression, overthinking, self-doubt. But when you get to the base of it, it is some lingering, limiting belief, some wall you've built for yourself. And you need to break that to actually get to you, to the real you. Yeah.
And I think what we need to understand, that this is not just hallelujah, here I am. It is like
No, no, no.
it is a
Good.
continual journey until we exit from this body. There's
Of
going to be
course.
a great deal of self-discovery as we go, a wonderful reveal, a wonderful exploration of who we are. But what we've done when we have that breakthrough is that we don't put those limitations on us and say, I can't. Who do you think you are? Act your age, or, stay in your lane. And we go, no,
That's the
no,
inner
yeah,
dialogue, isn't it?
yeah. And it's like we've done the work, we look at that and go, no, I'm not interested in that dialogue. I don't know what I'm capable of doing until I give it a try. Maybe it's for me, maybe it's not. But how am I going to know if I don't give it a go?
Fear of failure. That's where it comes in.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
I mean, we live in a society where the only acceptable norm is perfection. Everything needs to be perfect, polished. But the problem is, if you don't fail, how do you grow?
Exactly.
Anything. Any growth that comes, you have failed. I mean, if you look back, any of us looks back at say, I don't know, a not so good part, you
Mhm.
struggled, there was failure, but what about the growth you achieved? Would you be the
Yes.
same person you are without that? So yeah, embracing failure is equally important. So
I
as
don't
a
even look at it as failure. I just look at it as lessons learned. You've learned how to do it right. You've also learned how to do it wrong. A toddler when they're learning to walk and they land on their ass more times than they before they're walking, do they go, oh, I failed? Right?
Yeah,
No,
I mean, just
they get back
imagine.
up and waddle forward again, right? And it's like, it's
Yeah.
not failure to me is when you give up and don't do anything. You just accept where
Yeah.
you are and you won't even try. But I look at that every time you make a faux pas or a wrong direction, there's always something to learn from it, even if it was that was the wrong direction. And you put that in your memory bank. I'm not going to do that direction again, right? I'm going to move forward. So it's everything is a lesson learned. And if we're not willing to learn, there is no age that you reach where,
No,
well, I've learned everything I need to learn. I don't need to learn anymore. We're going to learn to the day we leave.
exactly, exactly. Till the time you're in the body, you're here to learn. And the
Exactly.
learning never is gonna, yeah, that's the whole purpose. So just
Mm-hmm.
imagine a toddler, like, they fell down maybe 10 times, 20 times, and they just raise their hand. That's it. That's not for me. I'm gonna give up on it. So
Yes.
yeah. I mean, as adults, how many times we do
Yes.
that? Even
Yes.
before you give it, oh, maybe that's not for me. What if I fail? What are people gonna think? It's like everybody is featuring in in just one movie called My Life.
Yeah.
The more scrutiny, you're like, what is this person thinking? No, they're not bothered.
Right.
Literally, they are only interested in the movie called My Life.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, just go ahead and I would just really want to share a couple of things that helped me in the journey. So morning when you're brushing, there's not much else to do, isn't it? So just look yourself in the eye, smile or not. Maybe the brush is on, so it's like I love you just the way you are. Yeah. And you're enough. Okay. And
Yes.
and mm, everybody has different reactions. Some are like, oh, okay, what am I doing? Couple of times it might feel that way. But then I think people in my life, friends, family, they have told me they have felt the shift in the day when they do it. It's that simple. Another thing is, when you have got past it, when you're like, okay, that's not so weird, you can always say, I'm your loving parent. I love all of you. I am, and you have to do this while you're looking yourself straight in the eye.
Yes.
Okay. I am your loving parent, and I love all of you, uh, all parts of you, and whatever else you want to add. Because what were you looking for? Validation from someone, and it
Right.
never stops, isn't it?
No.
Still, no matter what age you are, you're looking for validation from someone in your life, personal life, professional life. What if the validation was not out there and in here? How relaxing would that be, And
Mm.
people feel like, oh, what if I don't strive, what about the competition? Well, you are your own competition, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. If you
Yes.
really want to compare yourself, you compare yourself with the you 1 week back, 1 year back, on your
Yes.
own journey, rather
Thank you for
than,
saying that. Yes.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
but
Comparison is
it's
just a
deadly to compare yourself with other people because they're them, you're you. And to
it's
compete with
never,
other people,
yeah,
it's you're competing against yourself. It's like look at, and I very often say to people, sometimes we just kind of get to a little blockage in the road and we go, I don't know, I'm just kind of not sure where to go right now. I believe that that's a pause in your life for you to stop and reflect back of how far you've come, of who you are now,
totally.
because that relook at how far you've come, the courage, the strength, the abilities that you've embraced, and now all of a sudden there's another road in front
Totally.
of you. Maybe it's a fork in the road, and you would have taken that had you not paused. But your pause allows you to stop and reflect, see who you are now, and go, not that road. I want this road, right? Pauses are good.
Yes, pauses are good. And exactly what you said, I think, again, as I said, with introspection, self-reflection, you find what you get, when I was like in the dark place. And it's like one step up, one step up, one step
Yes.
up. So exactly what you said, I think I came across an exercise called reverse gap, and that is what it is all about. So say when you're feeling stuck, or anybody, personal, professional, whatever the issue might be, pen, paper, 10 minutes of your time. And reverse gap is about, just telling yourself everything every challenge you have overcome in the last 10 years of your life. Okay.
Right.
And not telling yourself, write it down.
Yeah.
Okay. And once you're done and you put the paper up, like, oh my God, I am
Yes.
so proud of this phenomenal
Yes.
person that I am. I mean, how many times, you drop a cup of coffee, I'm so clumsy. I mean, we are the inner dialogue. Would you ever talk the same way to your best friend? No, you
Right.
won't.
Right.
So you've got the dialogue has to be what you would be talking to your best friend rather than, the critical voice that we have in our heads. So rather than criticizing, every once in a while, like, whenever you're feeling stuck, I think that works for me. So reverse gap is, again, it could be anything, last 1 month, last 1 year, 5 year, whatever works for you. And writing, uh, writing really, really works. Or you can speak it in front of the mirror, whatever best
Right.
works for you.
Or even
Yeah.
record it and play it back.
Totally,
Because
totally.
that's you listening to your actual self speak to you. Where sometimes when we're talking, we're not
Totally.
listening. And if you play it back, then it's like, oh, 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 that's what I
That's
said.
a
Right.
wonderful idea. Okay, I'm always about writing. I'm going to remember that. Next time I do, I'm going to record it so that when I'm like, I'm going to listen back to it.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm very big
wonderful.
on that. I've actually just written my memoir, which is 68 years of life, right? And it was quite interesting because I had all these ideas of how I was going to do it, and then my fingers started typing, and it wrote the way it wanted to write, right? It just came out. And I'm still in the editing stages. It's had to go on the back burner because I've just been too busy. So I'm hoping to actually put some time aside and finish that to get it out there. But it was interesting in reading it back of a common thread that was running through it. And common
Hmm.
thread was sadness.
Oh,
Sadness
okay.
because for me, I've always been a very spiritual being, having a really hard time living a human life because humans are so cruel to each other,
Oh,
right? And as an empath, I pick up on all the pain that people are in and it hurts, right? Exactly. Yep.
I'm
Yep.
also an empath. Yes.
And it hurts when we feel other people's pain, right? And then we kind of feel powerless to do anything about it, or we try to do something about it, but if that person's not willing to do anything about it either, then it makes it doubly hard. And I realize is
Yes.
that
Yeah.
I've been a carrier through my life of all
Oh.
this pain, and it's like, but also was not seen. I was not seen
Oh.
and I was not heard because a lot of what I spoke about, people weren't ready to hear. We're in an era now where people are ready to hear, thank goodness, not just for me, but for all of us that are out there that have this something to
All of
say.
us. Yeah.
Um, but then now the big question is, we've got the permission to speak our truth, our essence, um, our higher frequency, our higher conscious, our higher vibration, but are people listening?
Hmm. Hmm. I mean, most people are on a lookout for a deeper meaning, a deeper purpose,
Mm-hmm.
or I don't know, sometimes it could be just stress relief. I mean, work colleagues, friends, family, mostly it could be some gremlin in your head, okay? It
Mm,
can real, I mean, everybody's upbringing is different, and as I said, our glasses of belief are different, so we might perceive it differently. But I always feel there's something holding you back, you know? Let's say, I really want to be, somebody say, I really want to be a public speaker. I want to give a TED talk. Oh my God, I've got stage fright.
mm,
No, but say when you were one, two, three, four, five, you didn't have stage fright exactly. So you picked it up some way. What is it?
right.
Are people gonna judge me? Am I gonna
Mm-hmm.
fail? So what is it that's coming in the way?
Right.
So, you can go and do all the courses, say, on public speaking. I mean, that's just an example. But then it's like, if you don't deal with that, what's holding you back, it is like, it's still holding you. It's got this tight grab on you. So let that set loose, and then everything else will work so much better.
Yeah, it's kind of, you nearly drowned once, but get back in the water. It's I remember having a car accident, which I wrote my mother's car
Oh,
off, and it was her favorite sports car, and it was just a
but
freak
then you are
accident.
here. Yes,
And
yeah, that's most important.
well, and when she saw the car, it was maybe not so important at the time, but I ended up kind of looking like a back end of a baboon's bum, just like so much bruising because there was a sunroof and the sunroof came down on my shoulders. I rolled the car and I didn't even know I'd done that. Um, but I remember afterwards nobody wanting to let me drive, of course, right? Because you've had an accident, we're not going to let you drive. And I had to go, I was living in South Africa and I had to go from Cape Town to Johannesburg. And that is 1,000 miles. And so I answered an ad of a couple that wanted a driver. And so I drove them that 1,000 miles. And as I drove them into their driveway, I told them about the accident. And they said, I never would have known, love,
Okay.
you know? And I needed that to reboost my own confidence, to prove that I could do it and to do it without
Mm-hmm.
judgment, right? It's something I needed to prove to myself.
Wonderful. Super, super. Yeah,
But this is
that's
the thing,
amazing.
we've got to be willing to make ourselves uncomfortable to get comfortable with something.
Totally. So it's like if this is your comfort zone, I think just make a small little effort every week, every month to expand it, expand it, expand it, because magic happens at the end of your comfort zone, right?
Yes,
So
yes,
if you just live in, I mean, every magical moment, I think we stepped out in some way. Otherwise, you're just so comfort zone is basically, remember the cage we talked about?
yeah.
So as soon as you hit the edges of the cage, you're like, oh, I'm feeling stuck. Oh, I'm feeling uncomfortable. Well, that's where you're hitting your edges. So now that's your choice. Do you make them a permanence or do you make an effort to expand them? So yeah.
There's you will see, with people where there's oh God, was it a dog? Or I can't remember. It's an old video, but it was showing how the cage was removed, but the person didn't move, right? And it's like you're so used to
Totally,
being a
totally.
prisoner. And it's like we've got to understand uh, people may be able to put you in a box or in a jail physically, but whether you're a prisoner or not is up to your spirit and your mind.
Yes, totally, totally, totally. And that's the whole deal. I mean, just be you rather than I know we say be authentically yourself, but I think
Mm.
that need to fit in, need to be accepted. No, I'm not saying, you have to become totally unsociable and
Right.
you have to become some sort of a hermit. No, that's not the plan. But if you feel that my validation, my sense of approval, my sense of self-esteem, confidence comes from within me and not outside, I think you will be much more of a happy-spirited,
Mm.
comfortable, positive person for everybody else around. It's like
Exactly.
critical people are most critical about themselves. I had this thing, so say even 2 years back, 3 years back. So feedback was not for me.
Mm.
Like anybody said feedback, I'm like, oh no. Then I'm like, oh, but that is growth mindset. You should have feedback. So feedback was always a very difficult deal for me. But then I realized critical people are most critical about themselves. So no, I don't need to feel it's more about me. Yes, I take the constructive part of it,
Mhm.
but otherwise just sympathize,
Yes.
say well, be well, and that's all. So it's not about me per se. So yeah, that
And
that
it's a
that was big.
reflection of themselves. They're
Exactly.
they're imposing upon you their own inner critic.
Totally, totally, totally. So yeah, I mean, my dad's a perfectionist, like through and through perfectionist. He was, he is, and he will be. So I am a recovering perfectionist because good is better than perfect, right? All of
Mm.
my procrastination came from, oh, this is not perfect enough. I have to fine tune and fine tune and fine
Yeah.
tune. But there has to be an upper limit because sometimes you're using perfectionism as a way to procrastinate, and that's not going to help, right? So
Escapism
whenever
too.
Exactly. So whenever I do that, now I'm like, I'm doing that. Okay, now you have to tell me good is better than perfect. Good is better. And now, I hear my inner voice saying, whenever I do that, Ruchi, good is better than perfect. Good is better than perfect. I'm like, I don't like this because we are we are creatures of habit, isn't it? I'm like, Shit. Okay, fine.
But what is
Okay, that.
perfection? Perfection is in the eye of the beholder, like art. And what's perfect to one person isn't to another. All right.
Totally.
And I think,
Totally.
um I am perfect in who I am. I mean, it doesn't mean that you stop polishing yourself or that you stop growing. It means
No,
that you've accepted
no.
who you are. And why are we having to be apologetic for who we are?
Hmm.
Because we're not living up to someone else's standards. That's their standard to live up to. That's what they've imposed upon themselves. I don't need that
Yeah.
imposition imposed upon me, thank you. I've
No,
got enough
no,
inner
no.
critic. I don't need the external critic either.
Yeah, that's the whole base of, like, inner child healing. It's like, no, you are not that 3, 4, 5, 6 year
Yeah.
old that needed the, you know, all the validation and everything for, parents and other people. No, you do not need that anymore. So I think just stopping that repetition in your head is a lot of relief in itself. You can see your life from a new light, new perspective.
But I think also give your inner child a hug. Tell your inner child how much they're loved and how much they still want you want them to be alive within you, the play side of you, the inquisitive side of you, the exploration side of you. To carry that inner child with you, invite that child to to go with you and break through all those boundaries and validations and expectations that were put upon them when they were young.
I mean, if Sarah, you were to think of the most vivacious friend or somebody that you connect to, don't you think that inner child is free and
Yes,
alive, and their energy is so
yes,
inviting,
yes.
isn't it?
They
Whereas
don't
if you meet
they don't
somebody,
care if they're a little crazy. As far as I'm concerned, it's a prerequisite to live in this life to be a little crazy.
totally,
Right?
totally, totally. I mean, I love those sort of people. My best friend is one of them. It's like, yeah, that's me. Take it or leave it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like I am here for a bigger purpose. I'm not here to fit your box or
Hmm.
get all the tick boxes done, or I'm here to be me. And it's fine. Good, bad, right, wrong. I am an artwork in progress, and that's all.
Exactly. And the thing is that we're going to attract a vibe tribe. Now, this show is playing on Valentine's Day and Valentine's Week, and it's all about love, but love isn't one day, love is every day. And love starts with
Hmm.
you. I do my own show every week, and it's like love you to love another. And when we
Hmm.
learn to love ourselves for who we are, why we are, and all our beautiful flawsomeness, right? We could be awesome in our flawsomeness. Our flawsomeness is what makes our diamond unique, right? And like, as long as
Totally,
we're not being
totally.
cruel or malicious or, being obtuse or trying to manipulate someone else for our own gain, in other words, narcissism, if we
Hmm.
are doing things from a place of heart, right? That beautiful flawsomeness and quirkiness of who you are is your identity, is the diamond that you are.
Totally,
And because it's not measured up to
exactly.
somebody else's expectation, doesn't mean you're any less than.
No,
Find your vibe tribe.
yeah, exactly. I mean, as you rightly mentioned, narcissists or anybody who is, I mean, they are coming from a place of lack, isn't it?
Yes.
Somebody who feels they are enough, they love themselves, that is not lacking. They would not find the need to
No,
manipulate someone, would they? So
no.
yeah, there you
And
go.
and they're manipulating everyone else to fulfill the emptiness inside of them, the insecurity inside of
Totally,
them. And we
totally.
we are responsible for what's inside of us. Now, we're not responsible for what happens to us, but we are
No.
responsible with what we do with it. And
Hmm.
where we
Hmm.
we find our courage, we find our strength, we find our abilities, we decide to rise up above or become something because of it, right?
Hmm.
That is the invitation that life is giving us. But nobody, doesn't matter how much somebody's trying to pull you down. They can
Hmm.
only really pull you down if you give them permission to do so. And when you realize, hey, hang on, I'm giving them permission. Why am I thinking so little of myself? I'm going to rise
Yeah,
up to my own frequency, my own vibration, and that person is invited to match
totally.
me there or goodbye.
Yeah. So they have to rise up to your
Yes.
frequency. No, you're not going down to
No,
theirs.
no,
So yeah.
no. Because low vibrations is what's causing all the earthquakes and the turmoil in the earth, because she can't take this low vibration anymore. It's literally cracking her up, and not in a fun way. We are being asked to raise our consciousness right now. We're being asked to become more aware of that inner child, of who we are, what we're here to do. But a lot of people awakening
Mhm.
up into that consciousness are feeling the pain. And the reason they're feeling the pain is they're feeling the pain of what we do to each other, of how much
Yeah.
despair is in the world. But it's not for us to get stuck there or to feel hopeless. It's for us to empower ourselves by stepping into self-love, a love of purpose and life itself, that then we can now start being the solution to those that are in pain.
Totally, totally. And that is just not possible if you're coming from a place of self-criticism
Right?
or self-hate. I mean, then you're just going to be stuck. You have created that cage for yourself. You're never coming out.
No.
You are not going to be of any help to anyone else. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the whole thing. If so, like they say, wear your own oxygen mask
Yes.
first. So the
Yes.
same thing applies. You need to get your bits in order first, and then, once you have managed your own limiting beliefs, you are not looking for approval and validation for something else. That's when I think you are more open, your vibes, you can attract your vibe tribe to
Yeah.
actually get people to know, like, yeah, okay, you can rise up too.
Right.
The growth of consciousness, the growth and purification of consciousness is the only way out. You know, if
Absolutely.
if yeah, yeah, there's no other way around it.
No.
You know,
No.
yeah.
No. For all of humanity. And we're being asked is, as individuals, we talk about the collective, the whole, being at one with each other. But that doesn't abstaining from being who you are or having somebody
No,
else
no.
fix you. That is you being
Mhm.
as whole as you can be to oneself, so that you can bring
Totally.
that wholeness to that collectiveness as a whole healing.
hmm hmm And when I'm saying, like, when you're a part of a whole as well, it's not like you're losing yourself.
Yeah.
You go. So as we are all miracles. We are all here with our own talents to transform the world in our own way. Now, just imagine if losing our own way, this is my way, and I'm like, oh my God, that person is ahead of me. Oh my God, what are they doing? Oh, that's it. So I'm now sad. I'm not doing well enough, good enough. So rather than that, if I'm like, okay, if I deal with self-love, positive boost, tackling whatever is putting me back, I think I can contribute so much for the whole
Yeah.
in that process. Yeah, because that was me. I mean, not so long back, that's me, and I'm gonna admit it. With my dad being so academic, everything was about grades, and so I'm used to this. Oh,
Yes.
oh, that was me.
Yes. If somebody's grades are higher than mine, I'm a failure, right? Because that's the
Yeah,
expectation put
yeah.
upon you.
So either
But also, he
either
didn't
you are a
see you as a
failure.
human being. He saw you, your excellence had to be based in your accomplishment rather than you yourself being the accomplishment.
Yeah, so that's the biggest place where self-criticism and lack of self-worth comes
Yeah.
from, because I am deriving my self-worth from what I'm creating. Now, how precarious is that?
Mm.
Because then I'm afraid of failure. I'm afraid of trying new things. Oh my God, what happens? The earth's gonna shatter if I fail.
It is, it's all your fault.
Yeah, so so my self-worth. So again, like, when now this is. So I was when I was at the end of the therapist journey. Now I'm thinking, okay, now I've done all this thing. Where do I go from here? And the first thing that was said was, you are not the business or whatever it is that you're offering. You separate yourself from that, and only then you can give yourself. Because if, like, oh, if it doesn't work, I am a failure. No, you're not. Your self-worth is not based or tied to it. And I think that was really freeing for me.
I think also another point of view is because I do a lot of business shows, and in fact, I just did one.
Hmm.
Um, and it
Hmm.
is about always be authentic in every aspect of your life, whether it's your personal
Hmm.
life, your personal self, or your business self. You're going to wear
Hmm.
different hats for each one of them,
Hmm.
but the
Hmm.
authenticity of who you are, the
Doesn't
integrity
change.
of who
Yeah.
you are should be in every single one of them.
Totally, totally agree. Totally agree. But see, I was a complete novice. All I have done is like, being a doctor. Now this is like, okay, I've done the course. Now where do I go from here?
Right.
So you're like taking one step at a time. And I think anybody who has tried being an entrepreneur, it's like all of the hidden gremlins that you
Mhm.
were okay
Yes.
hiding. Now they're like all out. There's nothing you can let it stay in. So I think that's all like, okay, no, everything one by one needs to be dealt in. So
Yes.
yeah.
That's another thing we talk about is having a plan, laying it out, but being flexible with your plan. Because you may go, I'm going to do this today and that tomorrow. Then today presents some other problems. So you don't get to today's problem. And that goes to tomorrow. That means tomorrow has to go to the next day. And it's like, don't sweat it. Just deal with what's
Yeah.
in front of you right now. You can have a
Yeah.
projection, you
Yeah.
can have a plan, you can have something, a desire of where you want to go, but don't hold the reins too tight. Allow
Yeah.
things to happen, allow things to take you where you
Allow
need
the
to go.
magic to happen. Yeah. Allow
Exactly.
the if
Yeah.
you have two box, tick, 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 tick. Okay. But then magic is like, where do I fit in? I was just
Right.
waiting yeah, to
Exactly.
enter your to-do list, but you did not keep space for me.
Right. But
So
you have to understand you are the magic. That's the
yeah.
thing. Every signature of you as a businesswoman, as a mom, as a woman, as a human essence being, you are the magic. You just use your magic in different ways from different situations.
Yeah, yeah. And again, not let my productivity of the day define me. So that's where the magic
Exactly.
comes in because again, that was me. Tick, 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 tick. Oh my God, three ticks remain. Ah, so
Let
I have to find
it
space for
go.
magic.
Yeah, exactly. This is something I've had to learn was patience because I'm a seer. I see the possibilities, I see the end picture, and I just want to put the foot to the pedal and make it go. And then life
Hmm.
completely slowed me down on every level. And the vision is still
Oh.
very strong. It's very true. And I'm a plodder now. I've been seeding and
Hmm.
planting and watering, but my vision is in the collaboration of others. And until you find that
Hmm.
collaboration where you're all in sync with each other, in other words, we're all each individual musicians, and we've learned how to perfect our
Hmm.
trade, and we can stand tall as soloists. But when we come together under one orchestra and we decide in each one of our strengths to play in harmony, then we are so much more
Hmm.
powerful in our message. And we sometimes
Oh
have
my
to
God, that's so
wait,
beautiful. Yeah.
but we have to wait for the right musicians to turn up, the right piece of music, the right conductor. And then once we've got all of
Hmm.
that, then the magic truly transcends. Right? So you're magic on your own, but when you come collectively
That
together,
is
oh,
so beautiful.
and that's really what we're asking
Yeah.
people to do. Be your own
Yeah.
individual magic, but find ways to share it with others so that it can magnify, so it can resonate out.
Hmm. Totally. That is so beautiful. No, I love this musician analogy that you get. No, this is amazing. I was trying to visualize it. I was like, wow, this
Yeah,
is amazing.
feel it. You know, I'm very music orientated, so music is very big to me. And because it is frequency, it is about those
Hmm.
good vibrations. It is, when you look at a piece of music, it starts off and it builds up and it goes to height and it gently comes back down again. It takes us on a rhythm and flow. And when we understand life is a rhythm and
Hmm.
flow, it's not linear, it's not one line, it is all these
Yeah.
beautiful notes that come together to make the tune of your life. Follow your rhythm, discover what your
Hmm.
rhythm is.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I'm loving the sound of it. Totally. Yeah. That is so, so, so beautiful. Right. Find your inner rhythm. Don't try to box it. Don't try to
No.
fit in. When you find your rhythm, and then you can rhythm out with others rather than
Mm.
trying to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't need the dictation. We need the surrender and allowing. It's like, spirituality.
Hmm.
A lot of people are saying, I'm a spiritualist and I have a spiritual church or I go to a spiritual church. But many of them are just following the same doctrine as religion and being
Hmm.
protective, and it's only my spiritualization. And they don't truly understand what spirit is. Spirit has no walls. Spirit lies
No. No.
within you. You are the essence of that spirit, and nobody can
Yeah.
contain that or dictate that it should be this way or presented that way, because it is the signature and the essence
Hmm.
of who you are. You are doing things in the spirit of love, in the spirit of light, in the
Hmm.
spirit of giving, right? And it's not something that you can box
Yeah.
in or hone, because that's what religion does,
Yeah.
right? And we've seen
Yeah.
what the
Yeah.
effect of that is. It's about letting the song be free.
Totally. I think we, okay, maybe I am overstating when I say we are past religion, but I feel that, religion boxes you,
Yes.
spirituality frees you. It's
Yes.
it's it's like, yeah, that's how I summarize it really.
Mm,
It's like you can have your own practice because, yes, we are all on a different rhythm. We all have our own inner journeys, and therefore our spiritual practices could be different. But when
mm.
we rhythm out, we are all together. We are
Yes.
working towards the same journey within.
Yes.
Whereas religion is like, well, tick, 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 all those ticks. I don't like them.
But it's
All
also
those ticks can be.
conditional. If you don't tick those boxes, then you're going to hell.
Oh,
God is watching you. He's going to punish you. Well, not the God I know, because the God I know is love,
no.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah,
what's
exactly.
the purpose of
Wow.
you going in? It is for you to exude out. It's for your love and your cup to runneth over. The better and the more abundant you are and enriched you are on the inside, the more you are going to share out.
Just imagine, like, a person who's going to Sunday church or any sort of religious place, and they come out all grouchy and they're
Mhm.
like,
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
that didn't do anything in
No,
particular, isn't it?
no, no. We lived opposite a Catholic church, and my ex was originally Catholic, and he decided we're going to church today, and
Mm.
dragged everybody over there. And we had a young girl living with us, whose parents were going through some turmoil, and they were Jehovah Witness, and she came over. And the sermon was
Mhm.
so damn and damnation. She said, I am literally scared. Can I go? And it's like, I understand, because that's not, yes, we are accountable for our actions. We're accountable for what we do to ourselves and to other
But
people.
but still out of love, not out of fear,
Yes,
isn't it?
yes.
Yeah.
This fear
Yeah.
thing is a form of control. When you look at the fear and go, okay, what am I afraid of? I'm afraid of disapproval. I'm afraid of not being liked, or
Mm.
I'm afraid of persecution. But when you look at fear and go, no, you don't have that hold on me. That you
Yeah.
don't have
Yeah.
that hold on me. I am that free
Hmm.
spirit. And of course, there's
Hmm.
sensible caution. You don't go walk in front of a bus. You pay
No, of
attention to
course
the
not.
hairs on the back of your neck, right? That's just common sense. But this fear to be, or this fear to do, or in
Hmm.
a lot of sense, the path that you went down in becoming a doctor, because it was your father's desire that you be.
I mean, it's not. I still practice as a medical doctor, like 3 days, 2 days a week, and rest I'm doing my sessions. Um, I think what I learned from his way was being organized and things. But as I said, life is a rhythm. You
Yes,
grow. That's not all of me. I can't stay boxed there. As I
right.
grow, I have to push the boundary of the cages now. No, I'm too tight. So another one is like, um, me saying, "Oh, I'm stuck. I'm stuck." And I came up with this analogy, which is like, it's like the snake skin,
Mm,
It's like, I'm stuck. Now it's time to change the skin. But the
yeah.
only problem is the snake skin is like, oh, this is a, let's take the other one. No. There's lots of struggle, lots of
Yes.
introspection, lots of, yeah, the journey is not always easy, but if you know I'm here for a purpose, and
Yes.
it's so, going to hell, what is hell? I would say hell is, on the last day of your life, the person who you could be, who your
Mm.
soul intended you to be, meeting the person who you were scared to try and become, the two of them meeting, that is hell, isn't it?
Yes.
That would be hell.
Yeah,
So
that's a
rather than,
great analogy of hell. I haven't thought about it that way, but yes, you want to be able to exit this world saying, I was true to my purpose. I was here to do something and I served
doesn't
it.
matter.
Right,
You doesn't matter you succeeded, you failed. I
right.
tried. I
I
did my
tried.
best.
I
I
gave it my
went for
all.
it.
Yeah. And I
Yeah,
think also
yeah,
hell is what we do to each other. And hell is
yeah.
what we do to ourselves. We put ourselves through hell by not being true to each other. It
Yeah.
is so sad, I think, for people, and I know quite a number of people who are at the end of the physical journey or have passed over that had the regrets of
Hmm.
not doing this and not doing that, or still listening to the voice in their head of their mother or their father or there's somebody else saying, but you aren't good enough, or you can't do this and you can't do that, and still believing it at that grand age.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
mean,
like,
what a cage. What a
yeah,
cage it is, isn't
yeah,
it? Yeah.
exactly. And they think, how do we know what we can do and what we can't do? When I started doing
Hmm.
podcasting, I didn't even know what a podcast was when I was asked to do it. And I did live with another network for 13 months. Great training ground. Then I decided to
Wow.
start my own. I had no idea what I was doing. And if you look back at my early shows, it reflects. But then as I learned to perfect it more and more and more. And every time I learn how to do it better, I apply, right? Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Is there a system out there that's better? Absolutely. But this is me doing my best,
You
putting my
are
essence out.
following
Yeah,
exactly. That is
exactly.
what matters.
Yes.
That's all that
And I think
matters.
if it's done
Yeah.
with the right intent, and that is, as I said, when you go inside and you ignite your own heart and soul, and you step into that self-love, that love of life, that
Hmm.
gratitude of life, that gratitude for who
Hmm.
you are and what you're here to do, you step into that purpose,
Hmm.
it exudes from every pore and it comes out in
Totally.
everything that you do. And if other
Hmm.
people don't see it, that means they're just not either on that frequency or they're looking for some different type of orchestra, right? But you're going to
Yeah.
attract people that are in within your frequency, your vibration plane.
Hmm. 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 Another, like, when you mentioned gratitude, isn't it? So everybody has got good days, bad days,
Yes.
struggling days. So I think what I tend to do is, it just 2 minutes of your time in the morning, 2 minutes of your time in the evening, and if somebody does find it helpful, please go ahead. So, like, just 5 things that you're grateful for. So first
Mhm.
thing, you're woken up, and
Yes.
it doesn't have to be a long
Yeah.
journaling or something, just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and rather than naming it. You done that? You don't have the time? No problem. You're taking a bath. There's no other thing than possibly smelling your shower gel, isn't it? So at that point, you can do that. What am I grateful for? Okay. So I'm grateful for this, and this. Yeah. And then when the day is done, again, 2 minutes of your time, you say, so there's a diary. Yeah, this one. I call
Mhm.
it the magic I witnessed today. So the magic I witnessed today is like, we get so sucked up, oh, okay, just a normal day. No, there's always magic in there. So just again, 2 sentences about the magic I witnessed today. So when I go back to that journal, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just simple things, isn't it? But yeah, I love them.
I agree with you. I wake up every morning. Thank you. I'm awake. I got through another night, right?
Okay.
I'm awake, right? And it's so many people don't wake up, and I'm grateful I'm awake, and I'm here to embrace another day, all right? And
Hmm.
then
Hmm.
at night, as you go to sleep, thank you for the day. And even if you have a blah day, I get those days where I take this is an admin day, and I have trillions of things that I've got to do, and I start to do it. And I can't. I have a physicality, and at that time, that physicality challenge says to me, no, you're going to put the headphones on, you're going to listen to music, you're going to watch happy videos because that's what you need today, and you're not going to do any work. And oh God, but I've got to do the work. No, 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 this is what you're going to do today. You need to recharge. And it's like I've learned, don't, it's futile to fight it. If I try and fight it, it's only going to flatten me anyway. So it's like,
Oh,
it's just take that time to be present with yourself and regenerate your own energy and connect in with yourself. And then whatever needs to be done will be done. It will be done when it can be done, but it's like,
yeah.
we sweat so much about,
Yeah. The
doing
small
things.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like chill. I've had to learn to be chill, especially when you're wearing all the hats. And it's like, if it's not going to get done, it's not going to get done. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, that's very important. Self-love, self-compassion.
Yes.
Again, it's like self-love and self-compassion will teach. Most people say shame and guilt are the same thing. No, they're not.
Mhm.
Because it's like, say, I did. hmm, Okay, let's say anything related to motherhood, there's no guide. Everybody starts off and you have no idea what you're doing. I mean, at least that's what I feel. So sometimes
Every
literally
day is
for any
different too, right? You're navigating moment by moment.
day you not imagine what was the day like today. I'm just pretty grateful I survived it. Today was
Mhm.
okay,
A terrible
let's do the
Tuesday.
good. I love into bits, but yes.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. They're here
So
to
say
challenge you.
it's one of those days, and I'm like, oh, I'm such a bad mother. Now
Mm.
that is shame.
Yes,
I am a good mother. I'm trying my very best, but well, this did not go well. That particular thing. Now that's guilt. I
right.
think most of the time when something goes wrong, we're like, oh, I am such a bad person. I think we are going into the shame zone,
Yeah,
and that's just gonna lead to more self-destructive thought
yeah,
patterns, self-inner dialogue. So again, like, we need to watch out for what our inner dialogue
yeah.
is like. Are we going towards shame? Or are we going towards guilt? I always thought they are the same words. Now, this is not coming from me. I'm a Brene Brown fan, and this is what she says is the difference between shame and guilt. I'm like, okay. So now when my inner critic goes in, I'm like, okay, now am I going towards shame? Am I going towards guilt? So guilt is okay, bearable. You can improve it, work towards it. Shame, no, it's just gonna take you away from
Break you
self-care
down.
or self-compassion. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's shame is the enemy of self-love, and you're going into, well, covered up zone. So that's
The
not gonna
shame and
help.
blame, right?
Yes.
Shaming someone, blaming someone means not taking ownership. I mean, if you have a bad day, and I had
Yes.
three kids, I've got a kid your age, and I have three kids.
Uh,
And
are
when
you
my
a
daughter,
superwoman or what?
no, no, I
Oh
know
my
somebody
God,
who's
I'm
had
done with
15, right?
one.
So yeah. Um, but I remember my
Okay.
daughter when she had her son, and she said to me, "Mum, how did you do it
Hmm.
with three?" And because most of the time it was me, right? My ex was always busy somewhere
Oh.
else. So most of the time it was me. And I said, I don't remember. I just did it. So you dealt with things in the moment. Now, are there some times where I didn't deal with it right? I didn't deal with it very well at all. Yes, absolutely. But I have to look at
But
where
you
was
did the
I
very
at that
best.
time? Yeah, and for a while I carried guilt. I carried,
Mm.
shame on me. I'm a bad mother. I didn't do very well. But then I also had to look at where was I in that time? Either, overwrought or, overtired or
Oh,
overwhelmed
yeah.
or, going through a bad marriage at the time as well, dealing with that. And we as human beings can only take on so much. And we expect a mother. And some fathers were very hands-on. My son-in-law was beautifully hands-on, but you can get into overload and get overwrought.
Yes.
And this is where you need someone else, the village, to step in and say, look, I'm just going to give you some time out to regroup with
Mhm.
yourself. And that's okay. Who says that we've got to be these perfect, wonderful apple pie mums day in and day out? There are times
No.
our kids
No.
exasperate us because they're little human beings pushing the boundaries. And they're going to push, push, push to see if you're going to
Oh,
push back.
yeah. Yeah, that was one of those days today, when you were saying, I'm like, yeah, I was, yeah. No, I literally hats off because if you are a super mom, if you have brought up three kids, I mean, I can't even imagine. Literally, I told my better half just I think a couple of months away. I was like, if you even think about a second child, you are the one getting pregnant, and you are the one going to labor. He's like, no, no, I don't even think. I don't want. So I think we are both. Yeah, he's pretty hands-on as well, but.
Right.
Yeah, that's
But
us.
how times have changed because, I look at my ex and he really was not a hands-on dad at all. My daughter is married to a wonderful young man, and she said, my daughter's very practical, very down to earth, and she works with people who have had brain injuries, and she's, creates events and things to engage their minds, but she's very down to earth and can deal with a lot of stuff. She's also been able to always see people from the inside out and call them out on it. So she calls them out on their BS. It's always been her gift.
Wonderful.
But she is pregnant again, which is wonderful, but we've also
Okay.
found out that the little one has Down syndrome. And so we don't know what we're going to be up
Okay.
against, right? So we're learning everything we can about Down syndrome. But she wrote the most beautiful piece. She found out the day before her birthday. And then
Uh-huh.
her current child, gets up early in the morning. It was 5:30 in the morning. And a picture was taken of
Uh-huh.
her with little one kissing her belly. And she wrote this and said, look, the last couple of weeks have been very hard. I have cried like I've never cried before.
Mm.
And, it's, yes, we've
Oh,
got some challenging days ahead of us, right? But when I am down on the floor playing with my child, am I going to see a Down syndrome child or am I going to see my son, right? And
of
I'm going to love my son for
course.
whoever he
Yeah.
is. And, I think that she was most certainly the right person for this to happen to because of that strength, because of that insight and that compassion. But also, I believe there are no mistakes. And, a child like him is here to teach us, teach us the simplicity of pure joy, of being present and uh,
Okay.
and just differently abled, not disabled, differently abled.
No,
And I think that
no,
if we
no.
could look at ourselves, how many people are suffering from post-traumatic stress or depression or anxiety? And it's like, how much of this has been imposed
Yeah.
upon you? How much of this you're imposing upon yourself? How much are you dealing with where you feel differently abled? Let's show some compassion to ourselves. Let's
Mhm.
show some love to ourselves and stop looking
Yeah.
at the value of ourselves based by some artificial expectation.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's so true. No, my heart literally goes out to your daughter because I think, as I said, now that I am a mom, I can feel it differently. Maybe before I might not. And I mean, as a deeply spiritual person myself, the soul chooses the parents, and it's not
Yes,
other way around. So
exactly.
the soul is pretty clear on who. So yeah, she has to be the right person, and
Mm.
that's why the soul's there. So
And him
yeah,
as well, um, because they're in it together. She's already said, like even with the first one, it's that I may have, carried the baby, given birth to the baby, but I'm not the sole parent here. We are co-parents. We are
no,
doing this
no,
together, and they do, and they're both
yeah,
very interactive with their kids, with little Roro, which is
yeah.
wonderful. And I'm actually going to be moving closer. So that I can be there
Oh,
as that support, but also because I love going right now after this show to look after my grandson for a couple of days. And I just love having that time alone with him and that time with him. He's just pure love, and
lovely,
it's just,
lovely.
kind of the tonic. So it is if we can again turn around and look at our children and our inner child as the beautiful, loving essence they are and embrace them and love them and set them free, guidance support,
Mhm.
teaching them the boundaries and not putting themselves in danger, but let them explore and explore with them, guide them
Mhm.
along the way. Um, they would be so much better
Totally.
adults. And the same with our inner child. Set it free. Set it free and love it and let
Yeah.
that inner child of yours show you how to see life again.
Totally, totally. I mean, yeah, that's we were all that amazing, exploratory child, and it's still in here. But
Yes.
yeah, it's just time to find it back. It's
Yeah.
still waiting. I'm here, knock knock, I'm here. It's time to just go back. Yes, I just hold you with open arms, and I'm here to be with you. Yeah, I'm your loving parent,
Yeah.
and you don't need to do anything for my validation. I love you
Right.
wholeheartedly. Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And when people say, but how do I do that? And like I go and play. Go out in nature. Be around a toddler. Watch a puppy dog chasing a ball or a stick. Watch a kid in the puddles. See nature itself. Be engaged with life, and
Totally,
jump into the puddle as
totally.
well. Play silly beggars, and just lighten up and be that inner child. It's a wonderful place to be. Be
Totally.
maturity. Oh,
Yeah.
screw that. Plenty of time to be
No.
mature and responsible.
It just
Sometimes
feels,
it's just be goofy.
yeah. I mean, there's time for responsibility and then there's time for joy. So if you're just being
Exactly.
like, doesn't work.
No, it definitely does not work.
Mm.
Now, you have got something in an offering
Yeah.
for us, for people. So
Mhm.
you have
Yeah.
the inner child healing, which people, when they come to the show posting here on Self Discovery Media, all they have to do is just put Dr. Ruchi and Ruchi, and then your
Mhm.
whole show practice comes up, and then you have the inner child healing, which is you're handing off to people for free. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. It's my pleasure. I'm just imagining everybody listening to it, and I think every step, one step inside that they take, every aha moment that they feel, and every child feeling free is like I am one step closer to my calling. So I'm extremely joyous that they're having it.
Now, your site is in the process of being done, but you do have a link
Yes.
tree. So people just have to put in the link tree and put in
I mean,
uh,
even if you just click on it, it will take you through the
right.
discovery call
For
and
the
everything else.
people
Yeah.
that are listening, though, I'm going to give the name. So it will be link tr.ee/ and then it's Dr. RUCHIMISHRASHARMACYP. For the people that are listening, the link is, of course, on the show page and also on the YouTube, and people can find it there. But and also all of your social medias and everything are there, and then people can book an appointment with you. So what are you offering them, love?
So basically, I offer two things. One is what I call Transformational Ferrari 30, and the other one is Transformational Ferrari 60. Why those names? Because that's how rapid transformational therapy works. You're not sitting with a psychotherapist for years and years and years. So rapid transformational therapy 30 is about having one session. Okay. So you have a discovery call. Discovery call is about obviously getting to know me getting to know you. You understand what is RTT. I get to know what a bit more about what you want to deal with. Are we the right fit for each other? So then we have the introductory session, which is about half an hour. You have the intake and everything. And that's then the RTD session is about 2.5 hours long. And that's where the magic happens. Yeah, limiting beliefs. Finally saying, okay, bye-bye. Right. So that's first. Transformational Ferrari 60 is about, it's a set of 3 sessions. So some things can be dealt with one session, not everything can be. So whenever I say something, some people are not really sure, is RTD going to work for me? Well, then you go for the Transformation Ferrari 30, you see what it is. And then once you're like, okay, I got the point, then we can move to the one. Or you can choose either or. Transformation for RE60 is a set of three. So it's like, the pre part of the session where you have the intake and things, the session, and then there is a, let's say, catch up, which is in about 21 days time for me to see where you are. Are you getting there? Are you there where you wanted? If not, where are we? Where do we go from there?
Right.
Yeah. So, mhm.
And if taking people through this, they've got to be willing to be open. They've got to be willing to
Totally.
participate, right? This isn't
It's
just
a
one session and put it
collaborative
on the back burner,
process.
right? Yeah, you're giving them
Yeah,
a set of
yeah,
tools and skills and
yeah.
observation and awareness to be
And and
proactive
and
on.
the most And the most important thing is at the end of the session, when the transformation is there, so the transformation is being recorded as a
Yeah.
recording for you. And because how our brains work is, let's say the session does 60% of the job for you, but then, we are creatures of habit. You're going to go
Yes.
back, right?
Yes.
So that's why the daily listening for 21 days, it's not much. It's just a 15-minute recording, and
Yeah.
it's very pleasant, very nice. 50. So it's like now you have literally, retrained your mind. So that's how neuroplasticity works. So that's why the 21 days.
Right. And also, I know that it takes at least 8 positives to undo one negative. And that's why you need the repetitiveness for you've been aware of the programming that needs to be deleted, but it has residual there. And so until you inject that new program, the new affirmations there, that old program is going to want to hold on. So you've got to insert the new verbiage in order for it to be a program that does serve you and doesn't hold you back.
Hmm.
So people got to be willing to participate, though. This isn't a
Yeah.
quick download of anything.
Yeah.
Took you a long time to get screwed up, folks. So you got to give it a bit of time to unravel. Okay.
Well, the I would say the only thing that is really needed is having the mindset, okay, yes, I want to be my best self. Now it could be different for different people. And as I said, like, whatever is holding you back, let go of it
Yeah.
and go to your goal. Now, the goal can be different for different people, self-esteem, self-confidence, public speaking, fear, phobia, whatever that shows up in your life like.
Right. Exactly. But the willingness to take the journey, because unfortunately,
Yes.
there is no quick fix. Everything is about a process, and the more willing you
Yeah.
are to immerse yourself in the process, the not only the quicker but more steadfast you're going to be when you come out of that process into who
Steadfast
you
is the
are,
word.
why you
Yes.
are, right? And then you'll be able to discover what your purpose is, right? Because you've
Hmm.
taken all
Hmm.
the stuff that's been blocking you and clouding you, and you could start to feel who you really are and where that passion and that conviction
Again,
and that drive is.
I'll go back to my authentic diamond visual. I think
Mhm.
that's how I can best describe it. It's like we're the miraculous authentic diamond, all of us in our own unique transformational way, here to spread our light. And so everything that's covering it, which might be presenting in whatever way, limiting beliefs, conditioning, or so that's what we're gonna take off. And there you are. Yeah. You're
Mhm.
just shining bright, breathing free, being you, being your authentic self.
And we could sure do with your light in the world, folks. We've got to understand the more we invest in ourselves, the more we become authentic with ourselves, the more we ignite our heart, souls,
Okay.
and spirits, the more we become the healing balance that this planet and this earth and the people and all living creatures are on it. So we are a
Mhm.
part of the solution. And when we invest in ourselves and take that journey, we step into being that solution for others.
Totally. I mean, you are your biggest asset. Literally,
Yes,
you are your biggest
yes.
asset. So, yeah, the investment you're making in yourself, I think that's the most, most, most important. So, yeah.
Right. So although you don't have a
Mhm.
site right now with the link tree, you're on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook business page, Pinterest, and
Yeah, yeah.
under
So
Facebook.
literally that link tree, yeah, it takes you to everything. There's the discovery call link, or if there are other videos that can explain what RTT is, what they're
Mhm.
looking for. Um, My testimonials, I keep posting them here and there. They're going to be properly there on the website,
Mhm.
but other than that, they are on my social media pages, so they can have a look.
And if they want to reach out to you as well, you've got the discovery call, but you've also got your
Yes.
email. And
Yeah.
just start off maybe with that inner child healing and get a taste of what you do,
Mhm.
but just be willing. I always say that the biggest leap you'll take in life is the first step, right? So,
Yes.
and that doesn't
Yes.
have to be
Yes.
a big step, just be willing to
No,
take the step forward,
that's the main reason that recording is only 13 minutes. So
right?
let's say you are on your commute. Of course, you're not the driver, you're a passenger, anyways. So there you are, just anywhere, anybody and everybody has 12 to 15 minutes in a day. So I think let's just start there. And then that might be that, oh, okay. And then you take the next step and then you go from there. So it's like you're driving a car. Let's have a look where the headlights show, maybe the next couple of meters. And then when you move past, you
Yeah.
see more and just keep taking the next step.
Exactly. And, great way when you've done your affirmations, when you woke up in the morning, thank you, I'm alive. I'm grateful for the day that lies before me. And then listen to that 12, 13 minutes while you're brushing your teeth and having your breakfast and getting ready to go to work. All right. And it sets you
Yeah,
off in the right mindset, heart set, and spirit set for the day. Uh,
totally, totally, totally. That's amazing.
But of course, you have to, as I always say, these shows are for you to listen, to learn, and apply. And if you
Mhm.
don't apply, then whatever you've listened and learned is just knowledge. We want you to have the wisdom to know how to use the knowledge, and that means participation. So when you actually engage with it and start taking that journey of discovery, then you truly actually understand how impactful that discovery is into who you really are, what you're here to do, and what contribution you have to give and how much of a benefit you are to us as a whole.
Totally, totally. I would just advise one more thing. To get the most benefit out of the recording, I think it might be worthwhile to listen to it when you have, rather than when you're doing something, when you
Right.
are in a moment of peace, whether, I don't know, you're traveling, sitting down, because it's like a relaxing,
Mhm.
meditative recording. So, yeah, please don't drive, and
Okay, yes.
everything else
No,
is fine.
do
Yeah.
not work any machinery
Yeah,
during
yeah,
this,
exactly.
right?
Everything else is fine. I mean,
Right.
I did not record it right in front of that, but yeah, that's
Yeah.
understood.
Right. So it's the time that you just go in and be present with self and listen and absorb.
That's it. That's it. Yeah. You just be
One.
you and open. That's all.
Open it up and let it in
Yes.
to release it out. Yes.
Yes.
Right. So, I mean, we've also got to remember that, we may get rid of some old patterning, but along the line, we may, habits either come back or we develop new habits. And it's good to have that check in now and again of, have I got? So, have I gone back to an old pattern or have I created a new pattern that's not very good for me? And so it's, just like you do an
Hmm.
oil check in the car, virus check on your computer, do your own check with
Well,
yourself.
this is your most precious car, you see. I mean, just imagine you had a car that you had to use for 80, 90 years. How cautious would you
Yes.
be? Well, that's the car this is. So,
Yes,
yeah.
you are your vehicle. Look after your vehicle. Yes, all part of
Yes.
it. Thank you so much for sharing here today, love.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. It
Lots,
was my absolute pleasure.
lots of wonderful information here, and an invitation to you people for, reaching out and to start taking the journey, having that discovery call to find out if there is a synergy, or to listening to that free MP4 just to see if you're feeling the vibe and letting it open you up, right? We don't know who's good for us or what's good for us until we're willing to try and reach out and engage. So thank you so much, hon. Until next time, folks. Bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. Find all of our shows on selfdiscoverymedia.com under podcasts or self-discovery-media/shows. And for all our current shows, go to What's New. We are supported by you, the audience. You'll see a nice big shiny blue button for one-time donations, or follow us on Patreon and you will be able to support us there. We enjoy bringing you such wisdom. And the next show will be up in just a moment.